What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today, it's the Rise of Iron. I'm finally done with work, I'm finally at home, I finally got to jump into Destiny and at least look at what the vendors are bringing us. This is my first experience with the Rise of Iron, and what I'm going to do for today's video is we're going to walk you through all the vendors that are selling weapons in the tower, and we're going to see which ones are really good, which ones maybe aren't so good, and just let you make your own decisions on them. So we're starting off over here with New Monarchy, and we've got the Assembly 2 auto rifle. So you can tell right away by the rate of fire and impact, this is a Doctrine of Passing style of auto rifle. And actually, for a vendor selling weapon, this isn't that bad. Perfect balance increases that stability, plus you've got counterbalance. Plus, with this second sight steady hand, you gain just a little bit more stability, so that's not that bad. If you've been dying to use a Doctrine of Passing style of weapon, you don't have the Arminius D, this isn't that bad to go ahead and take a look at. I wish it had a little bit more stability, but I mean, this is what he's selling. This is what it is. It's not bad at all. You might see this a little bit in the Crucible. Moving on next, we've got the Free Will 3, this hand cannon. And even though it's got rangefinder and explosive rounds, which people really seem to like, even though it's got rangefinder and hammer forged, that range is really low. We saw in our Ias Luna, in our Imago Loop, in our Finalis Peril video the other day, how far the range could actually go up on hand cannons, and this one is pretty low actually, so I don't think we're going to see that a lot in the Crucible, if at all. As far as the sidearm, the Impeacher 5, well, taking a look at sidearms is always a really tricky thing, because you don't see a lot of differences in stats. Getting some extra range on a sidearm is always a good thing, so that's nice, but overall, I'm not a huge fan of this. I feel like I've got some better sidearms already. Next up, we've got the Bad Council 4. And this one is a faster rate of fire shotgun. It's not the fastest rate of firing shotgun, but it does have full auto, and that is always a plus on this style of weapon. To me, this looks a little bit more like a PvE style of shotgun, so if you like this style of shotgun for PvE, this one might not be that bad. It's not a god tier or must-buy type weapon, it's more a fun type weapon. So don't go out and waste your marks on it, because chances are you're only going to be using it sparingly. But it is pretty fun, it's got a decent rate of fire. Again, full auto is always good for PvE style shotguns. Next up, we have the Deposition 7, and this sniper rifle, it doesn't have the lowest impact, and it doesn't have the highest impact, it's just kind of hanging out there a little bit. Overall, the roll isn't bad. You've got short gauge, you've got snapshot, you've got unflinching. Overall, not a bad roll. It's just with that impact class, I really can't recommend this style of sniper rifle. I mean, it'll work in PvP, I guess. I guess we'll only be looking at this thing as PvP, but in PvE, that impact is just too low to go ahead and utilize. Next up, we've got the First Citizen 9. And let me tell you, even before this style of heavy machine gun got buffed, I started looking out for one that had persistence, because I used the corrective measure and I realized that that gun was absolutely amazing. This thing doesn't have persistence, it's got some decent perks on it, but let me tell you, if you find one that has persistence and some stability, and you can keep some bullets in that magazine, this style of machine gun is going to be really nice and really fun, and I hope I end up getting one, at least at some point in the Rise of Iron, because that might be my go-to style of heavy machine gun. It might be. And finally, I guess let's go ahead and take a look at the Ghost. We've got brand new Ghost shells with all the different factions. So taking a look at the Senator shell, yeah, it looks like a new Monarchy Ghost. Now it's time to take a look at the Crucible Quartermaster, starting with 0 Day Dilemma. So it's got a little bit more impact on this auto rifle, and overall not terrible, kind of interesting, except for the fact that this style of auto rifle doesn't really see the light of day in Crucible. It really just doesn't. Moving on to the Party Favor, this weapon's got glass half full, we like that, though small bore. Okay, so I can already see a problem with this. We've got a really small magazine size, and there's really nothing that'll end up working well with it. You're only taking away its bullets by giving it range and stability. No thank you, I think we're going to pass. We're going to move on to this Scout Rifle. It's a really fast firing Scout Rifle, but honestly, as I take a look at it, definitely not Who's Next. God, that is just a terrible perk. And I think people are going to like their Suros DISs that they have instead of that one. So I think we're going to pass on that as well. The Palindrome. So, okay, we've got Rangefinder. That is really nice. And we've also got Rifle Barrel. Okay, so this hand cannon definitely has potential. This is what I'm talking about with the Finales Peril, the Imago Loop, the IS Luna. This is something that you could be looking for. Definitely, if you like hand cannons, this might be your new type of hand cannon that you go ahead and take into the Crucible. Rangefinder is great. Rifle Barrel looks like it's taking it up pretty much to max. I'm thinking that's probably about max. So this is a pretty solid looking hand cannon. Pretty solid looking. Palindrome. Alright, you're doing good right there. Next up, we've got a Fusion Rifle. Each new day. Counterbalance. That's pretty interesting on a Fusion Rifle. You can get that stability all the way up and then unflinching too. You know what? I think I'm going to have to say pass on this. Even though you can get that stability all the way up, I think there are just going to be better options for a Fusion Rifle. I like its base stats. I don't love the perks though. I mean, that stability looks great. We're going to move on to the shotgun, the Curtain Call, 44 Curtain Call, no range though. Okay, so it's got some range there. You got a little bit extra range right there, but I don't know. I'm thinking this isn't exactly going to be for me. Yeah, the impact looks a little bit low too, because aggressive ballistics really bumped that up a pretty decent amount. I think we'll probably end up passing on this one. We've got the Party Crasher already. We're getting the Matador 64 too. Yeah, pass on that. For our sidearm, again, taking a look at the sidearms is just like, whatever. It's really difficult to differentiate between these. Relentless Tracker is a no. I'm going to pass on that sidearm. No thank you. Moving on to this one. Now we're looking at a sniper rifle that's got some significant impact. This sniper rifle's got some impact, and it's basically around the Black Spindle style of impact. And it's got hidden hand and explosive rounds, so that is pretty cool. Grenadier is never wasted. Spray and play is pretty nice. And what type of scopes do we have? The short gaze. Okay, so this actually might be a sniper rifle you want to pick up for PvE. This might be something you want to pick up for the raid, because impact is going to matter. Impact means more damage, and if you're running around in the raid with the Gjallarhorn, you're going to need a sniper rifle that's legendary. This one might not be bad. The only thing that worries me a little bit is explosive rounds, but overall I think that is pretty solid. As far as the machine gun, we've got some rangefinder, and this chaotic neutral is looking pretty... No, not Guerrilla Fighter. Not Guerrilla Fighter, so you'd be definitely rocking out Feeding Frenzy. Brace frame, except for it's going to lower your magazine, or you could go with the armor-piercing rounds. Not bad, but overall I am pretty spoiled by that raid heavy machine gun. Never having to reload is really nice. Something wicked, wow, that thing has a lot of blast radius, and of course it's got cluster bombs because Bungie's really pushing cluster bombs. Field Scout is really solid to have on a rocket launcher. And can we increase that velocity? Yes, we can. So this isn't bad at all. This one's got nice blast radius, nice velocity, but I mean, you're going to be rocking out the Gjallarhorn. You're going to be rocking out the Gjallarhorn. So now we're over at the Vanguard Quartermaster. In number 1, we've got the Continental. So this auto rifle actually looks pretty interesting. We've got hidden hand, perfect balance, and rifle barrel, and then we've got focused fire. So you could actually use focused fire to get some extra damage, and then get extra range on the thing and have hidden hand on it. This thing could be pretty interesting, actually. This might be a pretty interesting auto rifle to go ahead and use, because this style of auto rifle also got a little bit of a buff. This one might be interesting. You might see this a little bit. This one might be my sleeper. This might be my sleeper pick. I'm thinking this one's going to fly under the radar a little bit, and then maybe, you might start seeing this, because it looks like it might be a little bit of fun. Moving on to our pulse rifle. We've got a pulse rifle that's got some impact on it. Definitely some impact on it. Head Seeker, a lot of people really like Head Seeker. Perfect balance, again, to increase that stability. Life support's pretty good. Overall, not bad, not bad. I don't love pulse rifles in PvE right now, though. I just really don't. I think in PvE, you want to hit things harder. Scout rifles seem to work a lot better in PvE right now, and even auto rifles, honestly, because you can pump out so many more bullets. But this is pretty interesting. That one is pretty interesting overall. Moving on to our scout rifle, we've got Angel's Advocate, and this one just looks kind of fun. We've got explosive rounds, we've got reactive reload and outlaw. Pretty fun looking. This one is a pretty fun looking gun, honestly. I think you might have some good times with this one in PvE. So one to keep your eye out on. Angel's Advocate, looking pretty interesting right from the vendor. Yeah, pretty cool. I like that. That looks pretty fun and interesting. Let's move on to the hand cannon, the How Dare You. Holy crap. Luck in the chamber. We've got, again, low range on this thing. No, just no. How dare you pretend to be a hand cannon? How dare you pretend to be a hand cannon? No thank you. No thank you. Pass on that one. Let's move on to the fusion rifle. And I don't know how I feel about this one. I really don't like the perks on this thing at all. Not a big fan of this. You really can't increase that range or stability here with these perks. I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. No thank you to that one. How dare you, number 2. Again, we're on our sidearm. Reactive reload, that's pretty nice. Do we get any extra range? No. Rangefinder is always a really nice thing to have on your sidearms. I'm going to just say you're probably not going to buy a sidearm. You're not going to buy a sidearm from any of these vendors. Even though they're just a little bit different now, you're not going to be buying a sidearm. I could almost guarantee it. Moving on to our shotgun, you can see this is a fast-firing shotgun. This is a really fast-firing shotgun, and of course, it doesn't have full auto. So it's got no range, it fires fast, low impact, pass, you're not going to use it, you're never going to use it. This sniper rifle is a little bit lower than the other ones that we've seen. This is along the lines of the Whaler's March that I already have, and it's got snapshot and quick draw in the middle. Okay, that's overkill. But you know what, if I couldn't recommend the new Monarchy one, there is no way I can go ahead and recommend this one. Just no way. It's just not PvE viable anymore. Just not PvE viable. So I think we're going to have to pass on the 7th Sense. And let's take a look at our next weapon. What do we have? We've got to move on to the machine gun. Wow, this thing has no stability on it at all. It's got a lot of impact, And crowd control, that's pretty nice. We like crowd control. You might actually need this quick draw because I bet this thing is pretty clunky to move around. And Feeding Frenzy, that's pretty good. So overall, the stats, the perks on this one aren't that bad. The perks aren't that bad. The stats are something to be left desired. And finally, we're going to move on to the rocket launcher. Again, we've got some pretty nice blast radius. They're doing really good things with the blast radiuses here on our rocket launchers. Tripod is a great perk, absolutely. Field Scout, great. We like that. Spray and Play, great. That all sounds great. That sounds great. It's just, it's not the Gjallarhorn. Even back in year 1, whenever rockets were more used than machine guns were in this year 2, you still only really truly could kill things with the Gjallarhorn. That's just something to keep in mind. Moving on to Future War Cult, we've got the whale. The whale, not the mammal. I didn't say fish. Overall, the perks are okay on this thing. Firefly, again, it's got that lower range, so this is not a style of hand cannon that you could take into PvP. Maybe PvE, but again, hand cannons in PvE, not a great idea. Oh man, this gun. Oh man. Do you like the Grasp of Malok? Do you like the Grasp? Because that's basically what you're buying here. It's got a little bit lower stats, but this is the Grasp of Malok. What more could we possibly say about this gun? First time they've ever sold something with this fast rate of fire, low impact pulse rifle. The Grasp of Malok is for sale from Future War Cult. Doesn't have counterbalance like mine does, but is for sale. And moving on to this fusion rifle, this fusion rifle looks actually pretty amazing. Rangefinder for extra range, more stability, accelerated coils. Wow, accelerated coils is probably one that works really well on this fusion rifle because you increase the charge rate and you should still have the same amount of bolts to kill with this fusion rifle. So wow, this thing is like another god tier weapon. Future War Cult is doing it up. Holy crap. Yeah, this fusion rifle plus the pulse rifle from Future War Cult, people are going to be buying these things for sure. Again, these things are probably things that you're going to be using in PvP though. I don't really recommend that pulse rifle for sure, or this in the raid. But in PvP, I think you're going to be seeing these things. Future War Cult, they are coming through big time. Wow, let's see what else they have. Let's see if they have anything else that's amazing. So far, they're doing pretty good. So this scout rifle, actually the scout rifle looks interesting. Zen Moment, that's a nice thing. Outlaw, pretty nice, pretty solid. The really tricky thing with scout rifles is all the scout rifles that you can get from Banshee, all the Suros DIS versions, are really, really solid. And because they are so good, it's so difficult to want to use another scout rifle. And plus, other people have their hung juries from year 1 that they absolutely love. Also, here's our sidearm. Actually, this one has hidden hand, and that's pretty cool. Quick draw is a really nice thing. You've got some Zen moment if you want some more stability as you're hitting your things, or even a little bit of range. So, not bad, not terrible. I just, again, don't envision anybody spending their marks on a sidearm. And let's move on finally to the rocket launcher. Again, a ton of blast radius. Very, very low velocity, though. But this one's got some tracking, so that's cool. Heavy payload to really max out that blast radius. Or Battle Runner, which is a pretty cool perk, actually. Flared Magwell or Snapshot, okay, that's cool. Anything to increase just velocity, it doesn't look like it. Nothing at least significant. These ones just lower it, but I guess you could use the increased heavy payload or whatever to increase your blast radius. So, pretty cool. And finally, the shell. Yeah, there we go. That's a future war called Ghost. And finally, we're going to move on over to Dead Orbit. Starting off with this auto rifle. Again, auto rifles are all looking pretty good. The vendor auto rifles, pretty much whichever vendor you go to, has a pretty solid auto rifle option. And this one is no different. Persistence, really nice. You've got hip fire. You've got some extra stability there with perfect balance. Not a bad auto rifle. Not a bad auto rifle. Again, our scout rifles. Though actually this one looks a little bit different. So crowd control is nice, but you could use triple tap right there and obviously gain extra bullets and then extended magazine to even increase that large magazine size even further, which that is a pretty big magazine size for this style of impact scout rifle. So this is pretty cool, not a bad one. Again, this one is probably more for PvE than PvP, but not bad. Keystone 01, not a bad one. Let's move on next to our fusion rifle for Dead Orbit. And yeah, after taking a look at that Future War Cult one, all these other fusion rifles are really going to pale in comparison. Performance bonus, that's pretty interesting though. That's a perk I would like to see on some more special weapons. But unfortunately, whenever you take a look at that Future War Cult one, these other ones are going to pale in comparison. Even with that performance bonus, no thank you. I'm going to go to Future War Cult and I'm going to get that fusion rifle if I'm going to rock out a fusion rifle for sure. So after our fusion rifle, we've got to go take a look at Dead Orbit and see what he's got up next. Oh man, he's got the last ditch. This is a shotgun that everybody is kind of secretly vying for because it's got a really nice base range to start. This one has rangefinder and hammer forge. I don't know if that actually takes you up to all the way maximum shotgun range. I don't think it does. I think you're going to be potentially looking for just a little bit better of a roll. But if you can't find one, you really can't go wrong with having a shotgun that has a rangefinder. That is an absolutely amazing perk on shotguns. For PvP. For sure. So last ditch, you're going to be seeing this thing. You are definitely going to be seeing this thing in the Crucible. I can guarantee it. It's pretty cool looking. And next up, we've got another sniper rifle. Again, another really low impact sniper rifle, and because of that, I'm not going to be able to recommend this sniper rifle at all, and it's got just terrible take a knee, so no thank you. No thank you, pass. Let's move on to the next. Why? No. This is Smolder version 2. Oh my goodness, why? Somebody has to tell me why this is a thing in Destiny. Who wants a rocket launcher that has no blast radius and no velocity? That's just a double whammy. No thank you. Moving on. Wow, Dead Orbit. Really finishing bad. And also, somebody tell me, when did Dead Orbit go away from being black and white to blue and red, purplish camo? When did they go away from that black and white to camo? I don't know. So overall, Future War Cult is the winner for all the new tower vendor weapons. We've got a Grasp of Malok for sale, plus a fusion rifle that is pretty ridiculously amazing. So a Grasp of Malok for sale. You've never been able to use this thing before, and now you can. If you didn't get a Grasp, you can go ahead in, you can buy one, and there it is. That's got to be my number one recommendation, at least for PvP. So those were our new vendor weapons in the Rise of Iron. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Rise of Iron, and I'll see you around in Destiny. Dead Orbit. Why?